steal him a car. But that wasn't an option. So he'd have to come up with another way to escape L.A. before Vera tossed him out on his rear. A couple of time zones away, T.C. Barbour drove his brand-new silver Dodge Ram the short distance from the home of his nephew, Gary Clark, to the building the Henry Adams locals called the power plant, site of the town's administrative offices. He'd arrived a week ago on a cross-country drive from his hometown of Oakland, California. Being retired, he had no real destination in mind, but he hadn't seen Gary in decades. So when they talked on the phone, T.C. decided to accept his nephew's offer to stop in and stay a while with him and his teen daughters, Leah and Tiffany. T.C.'s business at the power plant had to do with a part-time job Gary mentioned in passing, one that entailed being the driver for the town's owner, Ms. Bernadine Brown. He'd driven a big rig at one point in his life, and having never gotten a ticket driving it, or anything else, he figured he was qualified. T.C. didn't like taking handouts, even from family, so if he was going to be bunking at Gary's and eating his food, he thought it only right that he contribute. The town wasn't large by any means, and the last time he'd visited, a good 30 years ago, it was so isolated and undeveloped that it could have passed for the setting of the Little House on the Prairie television show. The surrounding area was still nothing more than wide-open spaces, with a house here and there, but the town center had changed dramatically. Paved streets replaced the dirt roads. There were street lights and sidewalks. He drove past a diner with the head-scratching name of the Dog and Cow, a large school, a church with beautiful stained glass windows, and a long building with a sign out front that read, Henry Adams Recreation Senior Center. None of this existed on his last visit, and even more surprising was how cutting-edge they all appeared, as if they rightly belonged in a big metropolitan location, like his hometown or L.A. T.C. was impressed. After pulling into the parking lot of the equally impressive, low-slung red building that was the power plant, he got out and walked to the entrance. This was his second interview. He and Miss Brown met briefly a few mornings ago when he turned in the required resume. Gary's teenage daughter, Leah, had helped him with the computer typing and formatting. A blessing. Otherwise, he would have never gotten the thing done. Now inside the office, T.C. sat patiently while the woman he hoped would hire him went over his resume. As I stated during your initial interview, you will be the town driver, she explained, looking at him from where she sat fine and brown behind the desk, mostly taking folks back and forth to the airport down in Hayes. Nathan Nelson, the young man you're replacing, left to attend college in Lawrence. T.C. knew from Gary that Bernadine Brown's hand turned the world in the small town of Henry Adams. It was founded in the 1880s by freed slaves, and she'd bought the place a few years ago, hook, line, and sinker. He'd never met a woman who'd owned a town before, and true to Gary's description, she was both classy and professional. She also had a man, which was fine with T.C. because he hadn't come to town to get tangled up with a woman, especially somebody else's. This is a pretty extensive resume, she continued, sounding impressed. You've done everything from working as a longshoreman to short-order cook and driving a big rig. He'd also lost his wife Carla to lupus back in the 90s, but resumes didn't cover heartache or the challenges of raising 3 kids alone. Ms. Brown went on to explain his benefits package, one he found surprisingly generous, considering the job was only temporary. We ran a background check and there are no red flags, so if you want the job, it's yours. Just need you to sign the agreement. She passed the document his way, and the words on the paper swam before his eyes like letters in a bowl of alphabet soup.